Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Brad.
If I may be so bold, at the top of the show, when most people are listening, I'm going to self-promote
Go for
a
it.
little bit before we get into the weeds. I started writing a newsletter.
That's right. I heard about this.
Yeah, because I wanted to get back to writing, and there's more besides just video games and politics that are on my mind, but video games and politics will still very much be a part of that. So if you're interested to get my musings every week and a half or so, mindswept.club is where you can go to sign up, and you'll get an email delivered whenever I put a post up. The first post is about kind of something that I talked about a little bit last week, but expanding on it and dealing with grief in the Trump presidency. Or dealing with personal grief during the Trump presidency.
And so, that URL one more time, Brad?
Mindswept.club.
Mindswept.club. All right. I'm going to go to it and bookmark it and never open it again.
Well, that's the brilliance, Jay. You put in your email address and I'll send you the post when they.
Cool.
You don't even have to worry about visiting. So.
I love the internet. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
All right. So there you go. You can listen to the, what I would argue is probably the weekly entries of a long-standing Brad manifesto that will be used later against.
Like I said, when I eventually snap and lose my mind, you'll be able to crib all the posts together to find the reason behind all this.
And the first one has a cat as the image. Like, this guy's going nowhere fast. Like, this is bad. We already know. All right, so welcome back. Look, things are running at a clip. This week is interesting. This week feels like one of those, like last week was a lot of us being incredibly disturbed and frustrated at the system in which we live in, especially the idea of having like UFC fights at the White House. That really, I think, broke my brain for a couple of days. But especially about the big, beautiful bill. This week's theme feels like the White House pulling out a gun and turning it on themselves, shooting themselves in the chest for no reason. But I feel like we all who have been paying attention kind of knew this was coming. So that feels like the sort of meme. And actually, not even just the White House, I would say conservatives in general have,
because
this is all
the first story we're going to talk about has not to say that it could have been prevented entirely, but it might have been a lot better had different decisions been made over the last several years in certain areas of a certain state.
Yeah. So, I think a lot of this is conservative self-inflicted gunshot wounds, politically, so to speak, which unfortunately has cost people lives. So the big story this week, the Texas floods. Death toll rises to 120. And I think it's actually above that now as rescue operations start to shift to recovery phase. So at least 173 people remain missing as hope for finding survivors dwindles. Look, these floods, I believe, are in mostly Kerr County in Texas, are really fucking scary, right? Like some of the Guadalupe River, I think, is where the majority of this water is coming from, if not all of it. It raised by like something like 32 feet or some shit like that, like relatively fast. So when people think, like, we live in cities, right? So like the idea, I mean, we have some flooding here where I live. That's mostly just an infrastructure thing. Welcome to where I am. But it's not like it comes on like in heavy rainstorms, but we don't see this kind of like crazy fast flooding generally unless it's like a Katrina type of thing, which is, again, very rare. But mostly sort of in rural areas where like areas will just, it's like, hey, everything is cool. They'll get some rain and then boom, all of a sudden the river.
Typically areas that are very like hilly and stuff like that because the terrain captures the water and that sort of thing. So
right. And so like from our perspective, this is not a thing like just between Brad and I. This is not a thing that we're like, oh yeah, fucking massive flooding. It's like, who hasn't grown up with this, right? So we don't have any sort of firsthand living experience with this. But these people in this county are really suffering. I mean, look, I know the argument is going to be, well, fucking Texas, fucking red state, yada, yada, yada. But first and foremost, like from a humanitarian perspective, this is fucked up because like little kids died by the way, because of this shit.
Yeah, 36 children dead as of what we know now. And again, as Jay mentioned, there's still 173 people that are missing.
Right.
So, I would expect more deaths to be reported.
Yeah. And look,
as time goes on.
Look, these sort of, natural sort of climate change, weather disasters and what have you are not going to go away. They're going to get worse. And I'm hoping that moments like this, and I say that with, the most reservation in my voice, I'm hoping that things like this will teach people that this stuff is very real. However you think it is happening because of the gays or because of climate change or whatever your reasoning for these floods and natural disasters happening, just realize that they're happening and they're going to get perpetually worse and more frequent. So I'm hoping that people will take heed to that about like early warning systems and things like that. More on that later, to actually help people, right? So all of that being said is really sad. I saw the president of Mexico was like, they're sending people and stuff like that. Like people are trying to help, right? They're really, really trying to help. Mm-hmm. Her statement, by the way, was fucking awesome. I listened to that this morning. I thought it was really dope. She was like, they're basically saying, well, why are you doing that? Texas is a red state and they say like terrible things about Mexico. And she was just like, Mexico is doing things that are humanitarian. Like, and that's it. Like we're not in the business of not helping people because of like basically some stupid politics. Like,
yeah, that's something Republicans do,
right? Like, knock it off. That's dumb.
Right?
Come on, people are suffering. Which, by the way, should be our response to people in other countries if we can help too. Just as an aside, we used to do that kind of thing. So let's talk about the politics of this, which has become the bigger story in a lot of ways. So there's two aspects of this, right? So there were massive cuts to NOAA, the NOAA was a National Oceanic.
Well, so just to make sure that we're not off on the wrong foot. So the recent budget that passed does have a lot of cuts to the national to NOAA. I don't remember what the acronym stands for.
But National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
Cool. The organization that oversees the National Weather Service, though, is important here. Now, those cuts don't go into effect until sometime in 2026. So the budget bill that was just passed and signed it has nothing to do with this specific situation here. So if you hear that anywhere, that's bullshit. Don't pay that any heed. However, the Doge cuts to the National Weather Service earlier this year,
those very much
might certainly have contributed. And here's the thing, as we talk about, what did or didn't happen. Obviously, like a flash flood is an act of nature. You can't stop that from happening, no matter how prepared you are. Like if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Right. What you can do is make sure that warning systems are in place and staffed enough to make sure that as the flood is being recognized, like, oh shit, this is happening, that it's being recognized quickly and the information is getting to the people that'll be affected before the worst happens. That's kind of the government's role. And then obviously, afterwards to help with, get the community, back up on their feet and assisting cleanup efforts and stuff like that as well. Like that's the government's role here. Like no one is going to sit here and suggest that like, oh, Republicans caused the flood to happen. Like, no, like that's obviously a silly thing to say. Yeah.
No, that's what Republicans are saying Democrats did.
Right. Well, it's something that Republicans would say. But it's not what happened here. So there were a couple of National Weather Service positions in San Antonio, including 2 meteorologist positions that have been unfilled since the Doge cuts happened, which again, like potentially delayed the response to this. Even though we'll never know by how much, and we'll never know how many lives could have been saved, but we do know that it had an impact in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
according to people that work there.
So how it works, from my understanding, is this. What do they call them? A warning coordination meteorologist, right? So that position at NOAA works on the federal level. They coordinate with local people in this particular, the Austin San Antonio office, they coordinate with that office to be like, hey, we're seeing this thing because we got like, I don't know, Doppler fucking 5,000. You guys only have like 3,000 because you can't quite afford it. We're the big boys. And so we're seeing this other shit that we have access to that you don't necessarily have access to. Here's this information. The storm is coming. You need to prepare because of XYZ reasons, right? This is the federal government taking all of its federal dollars and all of its federal power and bequeathing this information to the local people and being like, get your fucking house in order so that you can prepare for it. Because this warning coordination meteorologist position, like Brad talked about, was not filled because of the Doge cuts, there was no intermediary between the federal government and the local people in the Austin, San Antonio area to relay that information. I guess being a meteorologist is woke, so they got rid of this position. Now, the new pick to head NOAA ironically says his top priority is to fill those positions. It's like, cool, they should have never been cut.
Right.
Like, and we'll dig more into this because there's quite a bit more here, but you have to realize this is the type of shit when they're like, just cut government funding. You just got to cut it. Fuck the federal government. You rely on the federal government way more than you realize. The federal government isn't a boogeyman. The federal government is that's the exact type of job the federal government should be doing. We have connections into NASA and all these major satellites and stuff like that. We have top-notch people. We use those people to spread out information across the states. Yeah, It makes sense. Why cut that position? Because the people who are doing the cuts in Doge don't know what the government actually does. That's what it tells me. Because if I'm going down the list of employees and someone goes, this person is a warning coordinator, meteorologist, I'm like, the fuck does that person do? Oh, they talk to the states to let them know about warning. Yeah, don't fire that guy. Like, that seems like a pretty important job.
Yeah, but that's a job that feeds into, like, people are going to tell you, like, oh, this job's important because of climate change. Oh, climate change? You said the magic word. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's one aspect of the cutting your nose off to spite your face kind of situation that we're going to see more and more of across this episode and over this very specific topic. So the Doge cuts, like Brad said, the Doge cuts are much more directly responsible, potentially. I would argue not even potentially, are directly responsible for some of the piss poor reaction times that the people in Texas were able to deliver. I'm not just making that up. Quite literally, the people in Texas, politicians are like, we did not get warnings from the federal government about this stuff, which we normally do. And it's like, yeah, because there was nobody there to give you the warnings.
So the other thing that's come up around this is two instances where this county, knowing that they were in a floodplain that's prone to flooding, had two opportunities to get like early warning systems upgraded in the county and balked on it for varying reasons. So the first instance was back in 2016, where they actually requested from FEMA a grant to get about $1 million worth of flood warning upgrades and things of that nature as well, like outdoor sirens and gauge markers and detection systems and stuff like that, right?
Yep.
The Texas Division of Emergency Management, which oversees the money that comes in from FEMA,
Perhaps
they denied that. Yeah, they denied the application because the county didn't currently have, or the Texas Division of Emergency Management did not have a hazard mitigation plan, basically. And then once they developed that, they resubmitted it. But by that point, Hurricane Harvey had happened, and they were focused on getting money out to people that were affected by that. So, right. So that was one swing and a miss. The bigger one, and this is the one that's arguably more infuriating for a variety of fucking reasons. So back in 2021, the American Rescue Plan, which was passed by Congress and signed by then President Joe Biden, actually awarded this county with $10.2 million to support governments that were impacted by the pandemic. And they gave those municipalities.
I want to just stop you for 1 second. Understand the early warning siren system that they were talking about installing was $1 million.
Right. And even though this was from pandemic related relief, they were the municipalities were able to kind of spend the money however they needed to, including storm related infrastructure, basically, in order ways to make storm preparedness better.
Right. So a couple of examples in this article, they talk about like Corpus Christi was allocated $50 million of its ARPA funding, the American Rescue Plan,
right,
to rehabilitate and replace aging stormwater infrastructure. Waco, Texas's McLennan County spent $868,000 on low water crossings. Right. So these are places in Texas. So it's not like, oh, well, in blue states, Ariel. No, in Texas, there are two different places that use the same ARPA funding to do climate change themed, infrastructure changes, right? So Kerr County absolutely could have used it for this. Go ahead.
So what they did with this money was they actually rejected it from the federal government because it was given to them by the Biden administration, and they didn't trust that there wouldn't be strings attached to accepting the money because, to quote one resident that the commissioners of this board polled, quote, "I'm here to ask this court today to send this money back to the Biden administration, which I consider to be the most criminal, treasonous, communist government to ever hold the White House. We don't want to be bought by the federal government. Thank you very much. We'd like the federal government to stay out of Kerr County and their money."
Okay. Two things. One, we don't want to be bought by the federal government. Bitch, you're a part of the government. Like, you're a part of the United States. You're already, you're a wholly owned subsidiary. Knock it off. Okay. This is not Jade Helm. Relax. The second part to this is they didn't actually reject it, right? They didn't reject the $10.2 million, which is worse, right? This article does not have the quote, but in other places I've seen referencing this, so when they got the $10.2 million, they sent a survey out being like, hey, what do you think we should do with this money? Which is a very weird thing to me. It's like, why are you asking the people who show up at the town hall meeting on Parks and Rec what to do with $10.2 million? It seems like a very bad idea, right? But they sent out the survey and 180 people responded because the town only has like 50,000 people in it, by the way, or the county. And 180 people responded to the survey, and 42% of the respondents did not want to take the $10.2 million because of like political reasons, right? Like the quote that Brad read, like, Joe Biden, like, fuck that guy, right? It was all kind of that sort of thing. But one of the other quotes from another article about this was they didn't want to just reject it and give it back to the federal government, like, fuck you, get your dirty blood money out of here. They said, we'll keep the money just so that it doesn't go to a blue state, right? Because they didn't want to go into New Jersey or New York or California doing like evil liberal things. So they're like, no, we'll keep the money, but like, we're going to use it for what we want to use it for. We're not going to use it for like some like gay shit to save our lives and our children.
Woke flood. We don't want no woke sirens. And that was the other thing too, is that people like in discussing like different like flood prevention measures that they could use, like they floated the idea of installing sirens that are kind of similar to like hurricane sirens. So like basically like if you hear this fucking siren going off, it's super loud and it's basically like them telling you get the fuck out of Dodge because the fucking flood's coming. Right. And I don't have the exact quotes, but basically there's quotes from people that are like the people like in the government that are just like, we don't need no loud sirens going off in here. Like, can you imagine that shit going off? How disturbing it would be for everybody. Like, yeah, bitch, that's the point. Like, that's why you fucking install it.
Yeah, these people, if it was back in the day, they'd be like, they would be yelling at Paul Revere for making a bunch of noise. Like, yeah, I get it, the British are coming, but it's really late, Paul. I'd like to sleep. So they keep the $10 million, right? They instead, I mean, you could not make this shit up. Instead of using the money for the siren system, for early warning systems for this stuff. Again, this place has flooded massively before, right? In like the 1980s. Like this is not, like, ironically, it's often talked about like how stupid the people of New Orleans are that they keep staying in these same places where these hurricanes come, and then we're supposed to like give them money from FEMA. They don't deserve it. They're dumb. These people are doing the exact same thing, but because they're majority white, it is seen as like, well, there's rugged individualism,
Right.
whatever horseshit. So they decide to keep the money, and what do they do with the money? They give the money. The county approves $7 million in ARPA dollars. Again, the American Rescue Plan Act dollars, on a public safety radio communication system for the sheriff's department and county fire services to meet the community's needs for the next 10 years. Okay, I'm not mad at that. $7 million seems like a lot of that money, but okay. Although earlier estimates put the contract at $5 million. So it cost $2 million more than they originally thought it was going to. Then another $1 million on top of the $7 million went to the sheriff's employees in the form of stipends and raises, and just over $600,000 went towards additional county positions. A new walking path was created with the ARPA money. I wonder if that walking path was flooded in this recent scenario. How was it worth it? So they took the money and mostly gave it to the police.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of big crime going on there in Kerr County of like 56.
Well, that was the joke I made to you and Andy, like when we were talking about this. Is like, yeah, like they couldn't fucking install flood warning systems, but I bet you the sheriff's department has like an armored personnel carrier or something like that.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, for all that like supervillain crime going on in this like
in a county of 50,000. So
yeah, so it's just they took the money that could have been used to save lives, and they just were like, why don't we just give it to the cops?
Right, and again, like that's it comes back to that point. Do we know how many lives could have been saved?
No.
If they had done the right thing and installed these systems, no, we don't. But if the number is at least one,
it would have been worth it.
Then they fucked up big time.
Yeah,
with this situation.
But
and again, all for and we were told by Republicans, hey, like you shouldn't politicize national disasters. Call timeout on that. Rewind to 6 months ago when California wildfires were happening, and the Trump administration was talking about pulling out, funding and federal assistance from California.
There's new wildfires right now.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes before you talk about not politicizing and stuff. But no, you can politicize.
You should
the actions of government in response to natural disasters, because again, they had the opportunity to do this. They chose not to do it for political reasons. And as a result, an unknown number of people have been killed because of something that, again, they knew would happen. Like the floods of this magnitude, okay, maybe that's a little unpredictable. Like, obviously this was like record flooding. It's crazy. And obviously, like, even if you are the climate change denying party, like, you understand still that flooding is going to happen. That much you know. So the fact that you're willing to allow your citizens to be ill prepared for such a thing, to be warned about this stuff, that just lets me know that you actually chalk another tick in the box for the pro-life party, right, who really cares about life. Mm-hmm. And they tell you all the time, like, man, we really care about life. That's why it's important that we outlaw abortions everywhere. But again, to Maxwell Frost's point, like, you want the baby to be born, but then you don't give a fuck.
No,
like you're more than willing to let kids die in school shootings. You're now more than willing to let kids die because of climate disaster that you want to choose. Not only do you not want to address the uptick in climate events, but you don't even want to save people when the shit's going to happen anyway.
Right, during the events.
Like during the event itself, you're just like, fuck it.
Yeah,
you'll be all right.
Here's the thing: they're not though. They are in fact not going to be all right. And look, I think probably many people have seen that video of the older white woman. And she's like, we need help. We're not like San Antonio, but we're a small county. We still need help. Send us help, whatever. And then smash cut to another video of her being like, hell yeah, alligator Alcatraz. We're not giving you guys any funding. Fuck these other states and all this other shit. And it's like, oh, welcome to the welcome to the find out part of fuck around and find out. It only gets sad and is upsetting to you when you suffer. And it's not that you're suffering or these people suffering doesn't matter. But you should give a fuck when anybody does. In the United States, it's like, hey man, this wildfire's going on in California. They got to send federal money. Let's help these people. You don't have to do shit. Just have the thought process to at least say out loud, like, yeah, man, people should help this.
Yeah,
or just keep your mouth shut.
Or maybe say nothing instead of fuck those liberals, like they deserve to die.
Right.
Like.
So it's hard for.
If you know there's fires, maybe you shouldn't live there. Oh no, my house is underwater.
Well, at least it's not a fire. Well, yeah, I guess not. Yeah. But it not being able to have that level of human empathy is so common in sort of right-wing circles. Like, it's laughable that they call themselves the pro-life party. Like, you're not even, like, pro-life would be one thing. You're not even pro-helping people at this point. Like, I'm not even talking about pro-life or not, just helping people. Because if this was a small minority county, you'd be like, just why don't you guys move?
That's the thing. Like if something like this had happened, like in like somewhere outside of Houston or something like that, I think the response from conservatives would be
100% different. Yeah. Did you want the funding? I need you to change your liberal policies or whatever dumb shit, right? Like that's what they try to do in California. So it's, to me, look, I feel sorry for the people of Kerr County. I really do, because I'm sure there are people there, they don't deserve that shit. But what I would say is this. This is why Brad and I think, are on the sort of the same path here, which is you need to be able to see the consequences of how you vote, right? Like there is an aspect of like, we got to save them. We got to save them, right? Like, I mean, yes, when they're in the shit, like you got to save people, right? Like I'm not against that, unless you're like, it depends on the person, really, if I'm being honest. But for most people, you got to save them, right? I'm not mad at that. But this is why you need to see the consequences of your voting actions. Like you really do, right? Because
by the way, we're not done. We're not done with the consequences of voting as it pertains to the story. Heads up.
Oh no, not by damn sight. So but you got to be able to see that. And so that idea of like, well, Democrats need to pass something to stop this. In a way, I'm kind of like, they don't though, because if you keep saving them, they never learn a lesson. And this is a prime example. They literally, like, the funny thing is, as I think about this is what's hilarious. You ever heard that old, like, this is like an old religious joke, right? Which is, it's like, there's a guy standing on a roof and like the whole town's flooding, right? And he's like standing on his roof trying to survive. And a guy in a boat comes by and it's like, hey man, get on the boat. Like, we got to get the fuck out of here. And the guy's like, no, Jesus is going to save me. And the guy's like, all right, I'm out. And then like later on a helicopter comes and like, the guy's like, get in the fucking helicopter. We got to get the fuck out of here. And the guy's like, no, Jesus is going to save me. And the guy drowns and then he goes to heaven and he's like, God, Jesus, why didn't you save me? I was waiting on you. He's like, dude, I sent a boat. I sent a helicopter. What the fuck are you talking about? Right. And so it's like, we need help. Dude, Joe Biden sent you money to help. But you're so weirdly stuck in this mindset of like us versus them that you won't even take the money to help yourself. If Donald Trump was like, hey man, and he did, by the way, he gave a pittance, but he was like, hey, here's some funding for HBCUs. You know what the HBCUs did? They were like, this guy's a piece of shit. Thank you. And they took the money.
Appreciate it.
What the fuck? Like, you still need funding. That's the job of the federal government. If that was a job that they do, then you take the money and you do the thing. But like this whole idea, like, oh, I'm afraid there's strings attached. But there wasn't though.
Yeah, sorry, I
weird.
didn't light my Trump COVID stimulus check on fire just because I was like outraged at fucking Donald Trump. I'm like, hey, thanks for the $600, but still, fuck you. Like, just on
just give him
principle.
just give him a fucking throw him the bird and cash the check, dude. Like this shit ain't hard. I actually don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, some people are like, well, that's hypocritical. This is $600. I'm confused. The word hypocritical goes right out the door. So,
Right.
but these guys are literally willing to just piss the money away on things that actually don't help them, just for the perspective of just so that you don't get the money.
Yeah, we sure showed the libs that we sure showed those liberals, didn't we? By fucking taking a piss on that money they gave us. Yeah, you sure showed us.
Yeah, I feel totally
you owned us. Yeah, I feel totally owned. You owned us so hard. Holy shit.
Yeah. So don't be that rigid in your ideology that when somebody sends you a boat, you're like, nah, I'm not gonna get in. That's dumb. That's really dumb. So good job, Kerr County, I guess. All right, Brad. Let's keep going.
Yeah, so the great news, the consequences of one's voting actions keeps on coming. You know who hasn't really been on the ground since these floods happened last Friday? FEMA has been almost nowhere to be seen in the search and rescue and like recovery efforts and stuff like that. Like very little FEMA staff have been on the ground.
Why would that be, Brad?
Yeah, the acting administrator, David Richardson, was in Baton Rouge today, fucking around somewhere else. This is the same guy, by the way, who a couple of weeks ago expressed shock and bewilderment at the fact that there was such a thing as a hurricane season. He was unaware that there was such a thing as hurricane season, which just started. This guy's the head of FEMA. I just want to point that out again. So that's great.
What's more ridiculous, just as an aside, that guy didn't know that there was a hurricane season and he's head of FEMA, or the dude from Road Rules is now the head of NASA? I don't know which one. Holy shit!
It's pretty fucking crazy. So FEMA's nowhere to be found. Doesn't help that Kristi Noem, who is the Department of Homeland Security head who oversees FEMA, she put out a memo last month saying, "Hey, I'm going to have greater control over FEMA operations." So basically, every contract and grant that they issue that's over $100,000 needs to be personally approved by Kristi Noem before the money can be released, which is going to add, time for these things to be released in situations where you don't have time. Now, obviously, the reason that they're doing this is because they want to make sure that they keep a watchful eye over every fucking penny that goes to a liberal state to help with disaster relief in those situations.
What do they do?
But yeah, FEMA, whose job is this is their job. Like, this is what they're supposed to do. And by the way, like, even though this was unexpected, like, this is kind of a dress rehearsal for what they're going to be running into over the next, 3 to 4 months as hurricane season draws out in the impacted areas of the country. So this isn't great. And not only has the response been pretty fucking piss poor, but Trump had his monthly, cabinet filleting on Monday that, of course, was televised for all to see. Not only did Trump tell Kristi Noem and everyone in Texas, like, hey, you guys did a fucking brilliant job because only 100 people died. I guess that's the acceptable casualty rate for Donald Trump, is like, hey, we only killed 100 people. A+ work. You guys fucking nailed it. Great job.
I mean, I killed 1 million last time, baby. We're doing pretty good.
Right. But Kristi Noem herself said, I don't have the verbatim quote, but something along the lines of when a reporter asked her, like, about the slow response from FEMA to get on the ground to help out with recovery efforts down in Kerr County, she's like, well, it's actually the states who are the ones who run disaster relief. Like, the federal government doesn't really get involved. And it's like, yeah, you guys don't coordinate, but you still assist, both from a manpower and and more importantly, from a financial standpoint. Like, that's the big fucking problem right there. And again, let it also not be forgotten. I think Trump actually said this week, reiterated the fact that he thinks actually, do we need FEMA? Like, is that important
No.
anymore? Like, maybe we should just get rid
Hold
of
on. He is talking
Yeah.
about phasing out FEMA after the hurricane season. This is him saying this shit. Like he's done. Like we don't need it, baby. We're good. Ironically, I talked about this last week that I would love to get all these like right wing TikTokers into a room, and ask them, hey, when you were tweeting all of your horse shit or posting all these videos about your horse shit about North Carolina during the Biden administration when they were suffering through those terrible storms, and they were sending them money and like that emergency $750 or what have it was, which is the standard way in which it has always worked, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they sent them that money and had them applying so they could get more funding and everything else, it was like, here's just money for food, man. We're like just giving you a fucking check right away. When you were making that out to be some sort of sinister thing, how the government was only sending $750, it didn't give a shit about North Carolina and all that other stuff, and that Joe Biden wasn't on the ground and he wasn't doing all of this stuff. I would love to get these people in the room and go, where are you now? Because not only has Donald Trump not gone there yet, I believe he's going tomorrow on Friday. More on that in a second, because I'll tell you a quote he said, which I thought was just fucking amazing. So he hasn't been there. So he doesn't have boots on the ground. They're not sending any FEMA folks on the ground in Kerr County. They're not sending money, including the $750 that was so insulting to you guys before. They're not sending any of that shit. These are quote unquote your people, right? These are red staters. These are people who support you or you support their ideas, and you guys are commonality amongst men and everything else, right? Where is your outrage? Because to me, what you talked about, which wasn't true, is literally exactly what's happening now, right? So Trump says in a press conference like today, yesterday, something like that, he goes, well, I'm going down there. It's maybe even like 2 days ago, actually. He says, well, I'm going down there on Friday, to kind of check things out. But they don't like presidents to come to these things because all the attention gets pulled to them, right? So, which is accurate, right? Which is very true. It's the same reason why like a famous person will die, a famous politician will die, and they'll be like, don't invite the president. Unless it's like an ex-president, like a Jimmy Carter funeral type of thing, because the president just draws too much fucking attention and everything, right? Makes total sense. And
when Jay says attention, he means like logistical attention.
Yeah,
like the president can't just mosey on off of Air Force One into the flood path and just walk around.
No, it's just way too.
Like there's way too many logistics that have to be coordinated for the president to be on the ground. Yes.
Right, exactly. So I actually am not mad at a president not going there like boots on the ground, fucking day one type of shit. Like that would be insane. But Republicans act like that's not true when it's a Democrat. When it's a Republican president, they go, "Oh no, it's understandable." It's understandable. By the way,
frankly, I'm surprised they haven't shifted to like, the reason they haven't given the money to the residents is because it would actually be insulting if they did give them any money, because that would deny them the chance to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps, which is what they absolutely want to do instead of just getting a handout from the government. Like that's what I'm surprised. I'm surprised that's where the that hasn't shifted to.
Well, like they need to be able to pull themselves up, but they're very wet bootstraps that have been underwater for the last 4 days.
Right.
But we believe in rugged individualism. That's our whole fucking horse shit appeal. So he says that, and I laughed because I was like, you and the rest of you fucking right wingers, Trump included, lambasted Joe Biden for not being boots on the ground when all this is going on. But where are you, big dog? Like, where are you? Right. You're staying away for the same reasons he did. And so I take all of that and I take that hypocrisy and I just want to relay a story, right? Because I was talking to Brad about like one of my favorite things is like funny, like presidential stories. I don't know if I think I've told this story on the show before, but for people who've never heard it, I think you should.
Before you do.
Yeah.
This is a Reagan story, I'm assuming?
No, this is not a Reagan story.
Oh, shocking. Okay.
No. This is a weirdo fun story, actually. So
Okay.
the whole idea behind the whole history behind like presidents going and putting boots on the ground, like during natural disasters, did not exist before 1965. It's like, oh shit, there's a hurricane in fucking Kansas. Fucking best of luck, bro. We'll send money, but I ain't going out there. Like, get the fuck out of here. I'm staying in DC. That's crazy. Good luck, right? But in 1965,
Your second favorite president.
yes, that's a wild thing to say, but like he kind of is. Like he kind of is. Like of the like historic presidents, like he a bit problematic for sure, but definitely my second favorite, right? 1965, Hurricane Betsy struck the Gulf Coast in September, right? Devastating New Orleans, and very specifically did a lot of damage in the Ninth Ward, right? The lower Ninth Ward, right? Which is obviously a lot of people know the lower Ninth Ward from Hurricane Katrina, right? So the lower Ninth Ward is kind of at the bottom of the bowl, I think, right? So it's just when shit goes bad, it goes really bad there. Of course, that's the poorest area, and it's one of the blackest areas of New Orleans, right? Johnson toured damage in person. By the way, the one day after the hurricane hit, it hit on let's say a fucking Monday. My man was there on Tuesday. Like, what's up? Boots on the ground, right?
I mean, in fairness, he might have been. In fairness, he might have been visiting Texas, so it might have just been like a hop, skip, and a jump over.
But still, dude, it just happened. They're like, they even cleared debris. Like, don't worry, we're fucking going. Land that shit. Land Air Force One. So he went and he was fucking boots on the ground the very next day, right? Johnson toured the damage in person. He went to the lower Ninth Ward, right? Again, a heavily affected and mostly black community. And made a now famous impromptu speech with a flashlight under his chin in the dark, declaring, quote, like going like through the debris and shit, saying, "This is your president. I am here to help," which is just fucking insane, right? Like just imagining Lyndon Johnson like with a flashlight, like these scared kids in a school. "This is your president. I'm here to help." Oh, Jesus Christ! It's Lyndon Johnson. Run! But that's what he did, right? And of course, like it's political, but it was also like it's a very presidential thing to do. Like all these other fucking, and he's a Texan, right? It's like all these pussies wouldn't do it. I'm fucking doing it. First fucking day. I'm the second the clouds clear, I'm down there. But from that moment on in 1965, every president generally will go and fucking they got the windbreaker with the fucking presidential seal, and they're looking around like they know what the fuck they're doing. They don't. Show me the debris. Oh, there it is. That's a big pile of debris. Like that's all they do. Right. But that's because Lyndon Johnson is a psychopath.
Let me check out the sweet boots that the governor of Florida is rocking down here at the scene.
Yeah, just look. He's just a new boot goofing. Like it's not his fault. Everybody, but yeah, Lyndon Johnson.
Maybe Trump will get a pair. Maybe if DeSantis knows he's going, he'll hey, like I got you a present. You can wear this while you're down there.
Oh, dude, look, I'm gonna tell you something. If Trump came out in those fucking white boots, holy shit, the memes would never end. They would never end. But there's no way he's gonna be in his standard fucking loafers and an oversized off the rack suit, I'm sure. But yeah, no, Lyndon Johnson. That's just one of of many Lyndon Johnson insane stories. That's definitely up there. I just think that's really funny. So yeah. So apparently Trump is well aware that presidents going to these things causes a lot of logistical areas or situations. I'm glad that he figured it out. I wish him and the rest of his mob of idiots would stop pretending that they don't know that when Democrats are in power. That's the point of that story.
But again, just to kind of tie a bow on this, when we talk about elections having consequences, here it is. You're witnessing it in real time. And again, this goes underreported. It's not going to get. It's not very sexy. Obviously, Fox News is never going to fucking talk about it because why the fuck would they? I'm sure they've moved on past the story at lightning speed. But like these are the real consequences when you put people in power that don't have an interest in making sure that government works well.
Correct.
The government touches a lot more than we think about on a daily basis.
Right. And look, I'll just say this, and I think that's a great point. And I'll piggyback on top of that and say this. when people say that tax is theft, this is why that statement is stupid. Because your tax dollars, while that gets pulled out of your check and it is inconvenient, nobody loves it, right? Everybody wishes there was a little less being taken out. It's used for things like this. We are called the United States of America for a reason. Take all that money, you pull it all together, and you go, "Oh shit, Susan's house is underwater. We gotta try to help him." Take a little bit of that money, you send it to Susan, and it helps them. It's the most American thing of all time.
I wonder if you ask the average Republican if they understood, like if you ask the average Republican voter, like, "Hey, explain to me like how car insurance works. Like take like health insurance or anything like that's politically tinged out of it, and just like ask and be like, hey, explain to me how car insurance works." I wonder how many people think that like the money that you pay towards your car insurance like goes into a personal bank for you, and then that money gets drawn out like when you have a fucking car accident, not realizing that again, like the whole point of car insurance, it's a communal pool that everybody pays into, and the money goes to the people that need it at the time, but they can afford to give that money because they have this big pool of money that even people who don't need it are paying into. Yeah. Taxes are pretty much the same fucking thing, like in many ways.
Yeah, well, people would make the argument I should get that money back if I don't use it at the end of the year. I'm like, that's cute, but that's not how life works. Like, no.
But again, like you benefit from the government every single fucking day. Like the fact that you're not, riding on a dirt road to and from work, on a daily basis is literally thanks to the government.
Right.
The reason that you have electricity into any house you walk into, like when you move homes, you don't have to think about, hey, is this house wired for fucking have power or plumbing or stuff like that? Why? Because there's regulations and utilities are regulated by the federal government, so they're forced to work in a very specific fashion. Like stuff you don't think about because it just happens magically, automatically. It's the government.
Yeah, and it's funny because even something like FEMA, even if you're not in an area that you're directly affected by it. Like I've never lived in an area that's directly been affected by like some natural disaster, right? Like it just, not to anything like, they've had hurricanes in Baltimore before. I'm sure there's some FEMA money that went to that, but but never something like this, like the major flooding or, like God forbid, like major hurricanes or something like in New Orleans. Like so I've never experienced that, but I have to imagine that even though I don't live in those areas and never have, I still benefited from the perspective of I live in a country where people are able to live their lives and get them back to normal so that you don't have big swaths of the country just destroyed all the time, right? Or just states are suffering and their budgets are on the brink because they've had to pull hundreds of millions, billions of dollars potentially to try to fix this county or something like that. Like Trump is out there saying, oh, we're going to get rid of FEMA. Okay, what happens when you get flooding, multiple floods across Texas? You get whatever other, I'm sure they have tornadoes in Texas, a big fucking state. I'm sure they have maybe a little bit of like wildfire situations, obviously not as bad as California, but I'm sure they have those as well. I don't know if they have earthquakes, but other natural disasters that happen in Texas, or like the major freezing issues that they've been having over the last number of years. When that destroys infrastructure and things like that, that's more and more things that get pulled out of the state budget, right? You have to understand that. So when those things are pulling from the state budget, that's less and less money to build roads, to handle health insurance, to do just the basic things that the government
what's all, by the way, when states do get overdrawn and they need more money for stuff like disaster relief that weren't budgeted, what's usually the first department that gets money pulled from it?
Education.
To help. It's education every single fucking time.
Why are the kids so dumb?
I don't know, because you won't connect to the power grid that the rest of us use, you fucking idiots.
Yeah.
And so whenever you have an ice storm,
yeah,
you're fucked for 2 weeks.
Yeah. So like just understand that FEMA isn't just about the disaster, like in and of itself, but it is also about the massive amount of money that would potentially pull from state budgets, because Trump is talking, like we said, Trump is talking about pulling FEMA completely out of ending it after hurricane season that apparently the head of FEMA just found out about last week. It's unbelievably ridiculous. So when that goes away and North Carolina has issues, or California, or name a red state.
Yeah, again, don't forget why FIFA was formed in the first place, because we had a historic fucking hurricane that completely devastated a largely populated area, and the fucking city of New Orleans is like, holy fuck, like how the fuck can we ever possibly hope to deal with this? And the Bush administration, to their credit, was like, yeah, we got to fucking do something about this. Like, we can't just fucking sit on the side.
You can't just leave people like this.
Right. You can't fucking do that. So,
So it's not as simple as, FEMA good, FEMA bad. There's a lot of nuance to this. And again, if you're not helping the states, the budgets are going to get stretched. And by the way, the people who are going to suffer the most are people in red states, because you have less money and you depend on the federal government.
And by the way, unlike the federal budget, where people fucking wring their hands about like the debt and the deficit, and it's so bad we're throwing all this money, and it actually doesn't fucking matter. And as we talked about on the show, it drives me nuts that people don't understand how that works. It does not work that way on the state level. Like, the state level is like, hey, we have X money coming in from taxes. This is our budget, and that's what we have to hold to. We don't have this magical infinite like debt counter that we can just throw money at, because states can't issue government bonds to be able to pay for this shit. So
there's no state level money glitch.
There is like fucking Texas doesn't have can't print their own money to be like, oh, don't worry, like we got this
yet.
All good.
Yeah. Well, the Texan doubloon coming to your inflationary spending in 2026. So it's people need to understand that this has really far-reaching implications. But hey, again, Kerr County just found out how bad that can be. We're about to figure out what that's like on a national level, because when all this shit starts popping off in all these other states, especially all these like hurricane or tornado alley states, good luck, man. Like, what are you supposed to do? And look, to Trump's credit, he has not been giving money to red states either. He said, go fuck yourself to Arkansas. He seems to be saying, go fuck yourself to Texas too.
Yeah, well, I mean, what the fuck does he care? Again, as we talked about, like he's in there now. Like he don't have to worry about running another election again.
Yeah,
it's Gripton time, baby. Yeah, I don't got time to worry about disaster relief. I gotta make those Benjamins. Yeah, got another meme coin I gotta launch.
God, I got $2 billion I'm sitting on. It's fucking burning a hole in my pocket. So, speaking of, and I guess in some ways they might be happy to have the distraction of this devastating flood going on, because there's nothing to see. Don't look behind the curtain at any of this stuff. Yeah, please. Don't look at the pedophile behind the curtain and Jeffrey Epstein. It's this story is one of those like, don't believe you're going to believe me or your lying eyes and ears stories, which is unbelievable. Again, this is a self-inflicted gunshot wound for the Trump administration yet again. They so heavily ran, especially Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, or Dan Bongino and Kash Patel very specifically, ran on this whole idea of like, we're going to release the Epstein files. We got it. They went on every fucking Bro Dog podcast and everything else. Said, if we ever get power again, we're going to release that shit. Joe Biden isn't releasing it. Why is he releasing it? Is he on the list? Holy shit. We gotta release the list. People are like, all right, cool. Like, we can agree here. This is a thing you should release. Democrats, Republicans, there's no friction here, man. Release the list. Oh, but Bill Clinton might be on the list. Release the list. I don't care.
Yeah, like, Bill Clinton, I don't know why. I don't know why. I mean, I know why. It's because they work themselves into a shoot about all these like fucking conspiracy theories all the time. But like, Democrats and liberals are generally pro transparency. Like we are for things coming out and the public getting to see all the dirty details.
Right. It's just so funny. Like, oh, Bill Clinton's on the list. If you hit this button, he's gonna get exposed. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit that button like all the time. Like, what the fuck? I love that meme. It's so funny. Like, no. Not like
What
that.
are you doing?
It's like sweating. I don't care. Like, Bill Clinton is not my best friend. If Bill Clinton is a pedophile, then
Yeah, fuck,
okay.
then bury him under the jail along with
what the fuck, dude?
the rest of them.
Oh no! Like, what? He played the saxophone. I don't give a fuck. Go to jail. Who cares? So they come out. The DOJ comes out and they're like, "Look, bro, why are we talking about old shit? Yeah, there ain't no Jeffrey Epstein client list. Get out of here. Of course not. That's crazy. There's no client list, and Jeffrey Epstein definitely committed suicide.
Yeah.
The funniest thing was, did you see the Pam Bondi clip where she talks about the minute missing in the tape?
Yeah. Here's the video. Hey, there's a minute missing here. Oh yeah, that's just a glitch in the system. Everyone knows about that.
Yeah, it's a glitch in the system since the 1990s, and there's a minute missing in every tape because like they use the same tape, or like what the fuck are you talking about? And she was like, there's a minute missing in all of those tapes. And I'm like, that's a wild thing to say. I'd be like, cool. I'd like to see the tape for the last 10 years, please. Let's sit down and do it. Oh, we're very busy. Yeah, I know you're very busy. So she comes out and says obviously there's nothing weird about the camera not specifically working where he was, and it's missing a minute. Sure.
The funniest thing is that she goes out and like says that, apparently not realizing that all of their constituents are fucking conspiracy minded nut jobs that like if you fucking give them a tape with a minute missing, that's like fucking red meat to a hungry dog essentially. It's
right, like you're just fueling them. They're just fueling them. I don't know, man. Like, you don't have access to AI or something. Like, figure it out. And I saw someone made a really good point. They were like, let me get this straight. There is a known 1 minute flaw in all of these tapes every day for the last like 30 or 40 years or some shit that they've had the system. And this is a known thing. What would stop someone from exploiting that? Like, if you knew that, you had a minute to like sneak into Jeffrey Epstein's cell and fucking, string him up and kill him. I mean, it's like 2 people could hang a person in a minute. Like, it would not be hard. Seems like if I'm going Occam's razor here, I'm going to go with that's a bowl of bullshit. And what you're saying doesn't make any sense. Right. So they come out and say, hey, there's no client list, and he killed himself. Of course, like Brad said, does nothing but fuel the conspiracies, right? Mm-hmm. They're like, I mean, even a person as useless as Peter Ducey is like, the fuck are you talking about? So let's check this out. This is amazing.
So the FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox News.
Got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars.
Okay, I want to point something out that she said that was really weird. No, it's not the client list. It's all of the other information that we have
the fucking case file. Responding to a question specifically about the client list.
Right, but okay. So when Trump came out this week and was like, why are you talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Like, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah,
okay.
That shit was so fucking funny. Like I said, again, this was during his cabinet flating. And a reporter asked him a question about it. And like, to your point, he literally said, like, are you still really talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Like, I can't believe you guys are wasting time. Like this that dude fucking died 6 years ago. Like, what are we even talking about?
I killed that guy died of natural causes or whatever. With a sheet around his neck. So like, but okay. Let's play devil's advocate for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Let's pretend that we believe what they're saying is true. He killed himself. There was no client list. Okay. Why has no one gone to jail? You said that you had and this was actually my point. You're like, there's all this information. She's looking at all of it on her desk. One, how big is her desk? Because there's probably a lot of fucking information, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Why hasn't anyone been brought up, been indicted? If you're telling me that there is no client list, okay, let's say I believe you, but you have data. You said from that fucking podium, Pam Bondi said they have hours and hours of video evidence of pedophilia and child pornography and all that stuff. They have hours of tape. Then why has no one been indicted? Why has no one gone to jail? If you have that information, it seems to me that you have the guy and his accomplices dead to fucking rights. So why is no one going to prison over it? If there's no client list, why is Ghislaine Maxwell in prison? What proof do you have? Is it in the other document you're talking about? Cool. Then what's the proof that you have? Is she holding Jeffrey Epstein's dick in all of them? Is there no one else to be involved in all of this? No one believes that. So there are other people who are involved. Now, Trump comes out and says that, what's the line he says? I fucking have this article. He says something to the effect of, this could ruin people's lives, right?
Well, he said that before, right? So there, you and I talked before the show. There's an interview, I don't remember who did it, a couple months ago, where
I have
talked about when he gets back in office, they're like, hey, you're going to declassify all this stuff, and they're like, you're going to declassify JFK, and he's like, yeah, hell yeah, let's fucking go. And you're going to declassify this, hell yeah, let's fucking go. Like, oh, are you going to declassify the Epstein case? He's like, yeah, well. Actually, that's really complicated, and you might see some names in there, and you could, get someone in a lot of trouble if they're just names in this book, but they have nothing to do with this, blah blah blah, and just all of a sudden, that went from we're gonna be so transparent, and then well, hold on now, wait a second, this Jeff Epstein thing, is a little more sensitive than all this other shit.
Yeah, it turns out there's there's a bit of nuance here. Wait a second, I don't even do nuance, right? So. On News Nation's Cuomo, on Wednesday, Bill O'Reilly said that he had spoken with Trump man-to-man, eye-to-eye about the Epstein files on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, quote, his holiest of holidays.
Oh, yeah.
So it's important.
Yeah, it's I took a brick. I got the O in the name. I was supposed to be partying right there. Quote, he said, and I agree, there's a lot of names associated with Epstein that had nothing to do with Epstein's conduct. They maybe had lunch with him or maybe had some correspondence from one thing or another. If that name gets out, those people are destroyed because there's not going to be any context. That is actually correct, right? This is the thing that when you talk to nutters about the Epstein shit, they're like, if your name was even remotely associated with this guy, you were definitely on that island having sex with kids. I'm like, that's a wild charge, bro. That's a wild fucking charge to say to somebody, right? Because one, you don't know that. Two, this is exactly what Jeffrey Epstein did. There's tons of people who were like, yeah, he funded science and shit like that. He played in both worlds. The fucking sicko, disgusting world that they should be taken to the edge of a cliff and pushed off of it. And then the normal human world, right? The reason for that is that's what scumbags do. Because if you only play in the fucking the scumbag world, you're easy to pick off. But if you are interwoven between normal people activities, people don't suspect you, right? Why would I suspect you if it's oh, I just gave so-and-so a ride on my plane. Nothing was like fucking weird. There was no massages or young girls. I was just flying them back to California from New York because they just funded like this big scientific thing. You don't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have a connection to Jeffrey Epstein in that second circle. Yours is the legit circle. And he played people like that for a reason, for his own protection and to protect other people in the fucking psycho circle, right? Like that's what that's there for. So Bill O'Reilly and Trump in this moment are actually correct about that. However, this is the problem that I have. For me to believe that Donald Trump cares about anybody else is a bridge too far because I don't think so. And I don't think
I will disagree with you there. And I will, and it's specifically because who would be likely to get mixed up in all of this shit?
Besides him?
Besides him. Other rich people, aka the only class of person that he actually has respect.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Like, to me, this I saw someone write this online, and it's so fucking devious that I'm actually shocked that they didn't do it, which is put out a bullshit list of just people he doesn't like.
Sure.
Right? Like I feel like given the opportunity, would he knife Bill Clinton in the back to be like, oh, Bill Clinton's on the list. Who else is on the list? Oh, I can't mention anybody else. Right? You know, like I wouldn't be surprised. But I don't.
But I think he's even smart enough to know that he can't just fucking do, like, you can't be like, oh, it was just Bill Clinton weird. Like it's so
that was it, bro.
Like Bill Clinton was the only name on the list.
Like it was a really weird, thick book, and he just kept writing Bill Clinton over and over.
You know what else is weird? Like I think I subconsciously understood this, but it just kind of crystallized in my head right now. It's also weird that his whole fucking like cult following that he has weirdly insulates him. Because think about this, right? If you're a fucking nutter and are digging for every little bit of conspiracy, here's some weird facts. Like the lawyer that got Epstein the sweetheart plea deal like several years ago,
Alex
Acosta was appointed by Trump to be his labor secretary during his first term. We know that Trump took flights on Epstein's plane because he fucking said that he did. RFK has also been linked in the past with Jeffrey Epstein, and he's Trump's Asia section. Like all these people that are in Trump's direct orbit and that are given positions like in his White House, right, are people that are linked with this. Yet somehow, like, and in any normal conspiracy, like people would like center on Trump as like, oh, has to be involved somehow. But because he is him, and because all these fucking crazy people like revere him as their cult leader, somehow he's like insulated from all this stuff, which is very odd to me.
Yeah, he's the Pepe Silver of this entire thing, right? Here's an interesting quote from the Hill today. Lawyer Alan Dershowitz on Thursday said he knows the list. Look,
I'm sorry. I can't hear his name without just laughing anymore.
Yes, well, he is a fucking character. I kept my pants on. Okay. This is the argument you're making? When I was at the island, I just kept my pants on. Like,
my I kept my pants on t-shirt is leading to a lot of questions that the shirt already answered.
Right. Seems like a wild admission, my man. Like, I kept my pants on is a fucking bar. Yeah, lawyer Alan Dershowitz on Thursday said he knows the list of names in Jeffrey Epstein's files regarding alleged clients in his international sex trafficking ring. Quote, I know the names of the individuals. I know why they're being suppressed. I know who's suppressing them, Dershowitz said during an appearance on the Sean Spicer show. But I am bound by confidentiality from a judge and cases. I can't disclose what I know. Noting at one point he was falsely named as a client. So, yeah, Alan Dershowitz knows. Dan Bongino knows. Kash Patel knows. Pam Bondi knows. But we're all supposed, and Donald Trump, of course, knows, right? You think they got the list and Donald Trump hasn't seen the list? Get the fuck out of here. He was like, oh shit, top of the list is me. That's crazy. Scratch that one out. I mean, by Jeffrey Epstein's own words, he was best friends with Donald Trump. Like that was his best friend.
There's photographic evidence to support a lot of this.
Yeah. I find it amazing that we are literally being told this is probably not real, right, guys? Like it's not that big of a deal. It's like, no, dude, this is a big fucking deal. This guy definitely is on that list. And there's probably a lot of other people like Prince Andrew and shit. It's definitely on that list too, right? Maybe Bill Clinton's on that list. Again, I don't give a fuck. Send them all to prison.
What's interesting is that, at least for now, this hey, nothing to see here, don't worry about it, is not passing the sniff test with a lot of their more ardent supporters that very much are invested in this shit.
Now, it's interesting because a lot of those people, these really hardcore people who are really like, the Jeffrey Epstein thing was like their thing that they were really focused on during the campaign. A lot of those people are like, look, I cannot support him if he doesn't release this information. We're waiting. Like,
yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that.
You.
Like as I told you, it's like I would think that this would be the issue that would break a lot of these people, but who am I trying to kid when I say that? I'm sure they will tie themselves into knots to justify in 2 weeks to justify how. Oh no, actually, this is why this is actually fine and is
it's actually good for
as we thought before. Yeah.
No. Like, if you think about it, having a president who understands children so deeply is kind of the guy we want. Like, wait, what? The fuck are you guys talking about? Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.